Wake Up Late with Dougie show. I'm your host, Dougie Almeida. It's Tuesday, December 8th. Only a few days left for Christmas shopping, everybody. But hey, you could have had a gift today. You could have told your friends and family to watch us tonight. Great show tonight. We got two great guests, two fellow comedians on the show, as usual. Good friend, longtime friend, and veteran comedian. A great guy, sweet guy, right? I mean, that's how you got to remember this guy. Mr. Eddie Brill is here.
Oh, you're talking about me? Okay, all right. I wasn't really sure about the intro.
Yeah.
Well, I knew he wasn't talking about me.
How could you call
okay.
how could you call a guy with that beard sweet? And of course, comedian and new friend. I guess we become friends in the last couple of years, Mr. DJ Sandhu.
Howdy.
How you guys doing?
Hanging in. Had a long day. I didn't get my old man napping today, so I'm pretty mellow right now.
Aren't naps the best?
No.
I mean, a nice 30-minute to an hour nap in the middle of the day.
It's perfect.
I mean,
that's not enough of a nap. I need like an 8-hour nap.
I wish I could sleep 8 hours. I sleep like 3, and then I'm always getting up. I get my longest sleep, even when I go to bed, it's like 3 hours, and then I'm up. I'm up all night.
Yeah, I'm having that issue too, and it's not because I have to pee. It's not the stereotypical thing, but
yeah, same.
I've got the pinched nerves in my neck. I got the herniated discs in my neck. So I wake up, I'll be sleeping on my side, and my arm will be asleep. So then I got to roll to the other side until that arm falls asleep.
Yeah. It's already becoming the old man show with DJ, the young guy.
Yeah, really.
And then when I sleep and I pee, well, I don't pee. I sleep in my pee. And
I have plenty of old man issues already.
Like what?
Well, I can't stay awake is my problem. You guys can't fall asleep. I can't stay awake. I'm on the opposite side of that spectrum.
Really? You seem like a more energetic guy to me. You seem like you're always out, ready to go.
Yeah, no, that's because you see me for the 2 hours that I'm actually out.
It's tricky.
I've gotten to that stage in my life where I no longer use an alarm clock. I get up when I get up. I feel blessed. I feel that that's a moment of happiness for me. And 8, 9 o'clock, 9:30. And my buddy Chris Priester, who's with the Ebony and Olive comedy tour I do, he's like, he gets up at 6 a.m. I'm like, we were on a gig in Orlando this weekend. I'm like, he's messaging me, I'm going to get breakfast. I'm like, dude, it's 6:37 in the morning on Saturday. What are you doing?
I'm only up at that time, but I stay up all night. Like last night, I think I fell asleep at 10. I woke up at 12, and I was up all night until like 7.
Wow.
Yeah. I could have had breakfast with your buddy.
You should have come and joined him.
Damn it.
So listen, now DJ is now is relocated into Vegas. So he's in Vegas. Things are open in Vegas.
Wow.
But you were in LA, right, for a while?
Yeah, unfortunately so.
And you made the exodus out of there, as many have.
I did it before it was the cool thing to do. I did it back when it was just for my career and not because I wanted to go outdoors.
Yeah. And Eddie, of course, is in New York. You're in New York now?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I mean, it's really scary in the sense that what is happening in California. I mean, 22 million people in lockdown. You can't even eat outdoors.
It's that whole let's go have lunch thing. You can't even do that anymore.
It's crazy, right? Like, I mean, there's no science behind that. You can't go outside. I mean, come on, you got to be able to go outside.
You got to have a plan, but you can't be over the top with it. Like I live on a crazy street, and there's restaurants are all open right here on my street, and they cut the street in half. They put the restaurants out in half the street, and the cars go down the other side of it. And it's bustling out here. There's people are wearing masks. They're being good. So things are getting done. The original COVID came to America from Europe. Didn't come from China. It came from Europe. And New York got it because everyone flew into New York, and we were the epicenter, and we were losing 35,000 people. So then everyone paid attention, and then we went down to 0. We were just above 0, But lately, you can't help it. We're up to like 3% now. So, but people are, I walk around all day. I'm out and about. I was out and about today, and people wearing masks. People, paying attention.
Yeah, but one thing is too, it's getting cold, so it's gonna be hard to eat outdoors.
No, but they're setting up these like tents and all this kind of stuff and heat lamps, and I mean, these people are working.
But isn't that just turning the outside into inside?
No, because I mean, in a sense, but that's if you had like it open up. But they're making these enclosures outdoors, and we'll see what happens. If you don't hear from me next week, I died in one of those outdoor restaurants. It was really nice to meet you.
I just got to know Eddie for a little while.
Just the way,
It's funny, you DJ, you say that because they said it is kind of, all right, well, what we're going to do is we're going to build a tent outside. Well, it's still an enclosure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so how is that not an inside then? Like, just let me in the fucking building that I came to.
Yeah, but there's openings for air to come in and all that kind of stuff. And it's not like a closed off, complete, it's not like a tent where you're in a teepee or anything like that,
Now, besides the dining and stuff, my big concern is New York, the comedy scene, which is the epicenter of comedy, right? I mean, when you think about it, it's, Dangerfield is closed.
Yeah, Dangerfield's gone. That was my last show, March 14th. There were 4 people in the audience at the late show on Saturday night because people were scared by then. They didn't want to go out. We had 14 in the first show and like 4 in the second. But yeah, Dangerfield, it was around since 1969, so 51 years. That place was the longest running club and classic venue. Just a great place, and gone. Has
anybody else? Has anywhere else closed? Are we having any words about the other place?
Then none of them are doing comedy. Some people are doing them on roofs, and I really haven't seen or interested in doing any kind of drive-in thing where the people are beeping. But I don't see that much in New York City. There's no drive-ins in New York. But all the clubs, there are some people who are using their rooftops. They're getting crowds of about 30 to 50 people, and people are having a good time. Or they were doing a series in Central Park, which I've done a bunch of times, but it's not as great because, the sound travels and.
Yeah, it's horrible. DJ, have you done any of those outdoor shows?
Yeah, my week in Laughs Unlimited in Sacramento, what they did was they got a permit to shut down the street out front.
Cool.
And so they brought all the tables and chairs outside. But I mean, this is Sacramento, so being outdoors is perfect. As soon as that sun goes down, Sacramento is great. And this was end of July. So instead of bringing the speakers out and everything, they got these silent disco headphones. So I could be talking at this level, and you can be 150 feet away from me, and you'll hear me like we're just right next to each other because it transmits straight into your ear. And it was dope because then we didn't have to do clean comedy because kids are walking by. It's a touristy area,
right?
And it's literally next door to a candy shop. So, I was making fun of people walking out of the candy store, and everybody knew except for them. So it was like this inside joke between me and the people with headphones.
That's great.
And then people walking by just see like this huge crowd laugh for absolutely no reason. And so they stop by and they're like, so what's this? So like that thing's been popping off well.
That's pretty cool. So
in New York, they'd run away with the headphones, if they're 150 feet away. It's like, I can still
that's why you got to leave your ID.
Oh,
really?
That's smart. Sacramento's smart. Yeah.
Jen's got it all covered. It's difficult, because I mean, as a comic, you want to feel the energy of the crowd. So it's definitely got to be. It's definitely different, right?
There's a club in Alameda, California. A friend of mine, I helped him design the club, and the club itself is gorgeous and it's perfect for comedians, and it's set up in the best possible way. And he really, really cared to make it really great. And then he was going to start April Fool's Day, and it was me and Jake Johansson were going to start, and the thing was ready to go, and he was doing 6 days a week, and comedy, and of course it shut down. But he opened up in October in his he set up a backyard kind of thing, and it was really great. and it happened to be my birthday the first night that I started, and I hadn't done comedy in 149 days, which
Wow.
is crazy. And I didn't just know that number. I went, Siri, what is March 14th, October 16th? That's 149. It's like, fuck, 149 days. So the first show was like, what material do I have? Who am I? So I just sat down and made it like a fireside chat with the audience, and it was me and 40 people. But it was great for me, and it was also great for them because they haven't really seen comedy. But then by the second show, it was like, I hadn't left. But that was really amazing. I did 5 shows for the weekend, and it was just spectacular. It's like, oh, this is what it's all about. This is why I love this thing so much.
Yeah. I remember the first show I did, I think it was in March. It was even an open mic.
Mm-hmm.
Then I did Off the Hook Comedy Club with Joey Medina, and I had to watch my videos to remember I forgot my lineups, I forgot certain.
Yeah.
I was like,
see, I didn't do that. Once I started getting back on stage, the first week I got back was the second week of July with Mark Norman and Appleton.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, I can just watch my last recordings on the flight there. And then like once I sat down on my plane, I was like, you know what? If I don't remember that joke's not good enough to tell this week. So I was like, I'm just going to tell the jokes that I remember because those are going to be the good, funny ones. And then
that's a great attitude, yeah.
As I started going up and getting more reps, I started remembering more and more parts to it. But like, I've ditched a bunch of dead weight that I used to think was so necessary for me to do because like, how am I going to sell merch if I don't do the fucking airplane joke? And I hate the goddamn airplane joke. I don't reference my race until like minute 25. And now I got to do this stupid TSA bullshit trying to sell DVDs. And then I just was like, you know what? We're just going to do whatever jokes I think of while I'm on stage. And ended up selling like 900 in merch that week anyway without doing that joke once.
That's fantastic. So, yeah, I the same for me. I thought, you know what? I was writing a lot. I'm still writing a lot. I'm writing every day. I'm working on a film that I'm working on and a whole bunch of things. But I was, trying to do stand up all the time. And I really only wrote 2 COVID jokes, but I wrote a bunch of just material. So now when I went back on stage, I was able to really workshop that stuff. And by the end of the weekend, I had some great stuff. The only problem is I haven't worked since that weekend in October.
and you won't until the next October.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like I'll have to come up with some new stuff. But at the beginning of COVID, I was a little bit like, oh, this sucks, fuck this. But then, about 2 months in, I'm like, well, why don't I just start writing? And I just write every day. I don't have an audience to try it with, but I'm just putting lines out there.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do that. And I think like DJ, like you said, there was a lot of self-evaluation during that time. Like you said, there's jokes that I normally do, and they said, you know what, I want to change things up. I want to write a whole new angle of stuff. Like you were at the World Series of Comedy when I was there, and I had been in that contest, a few different years, and I thought, you know what, I want to come up with new jokes these guys have never seen me do. I don't want to go back there and have the same people see me do a lot of the same stuff. So I actually worked on some stuff, and I went to a bunch of open mics. I haven't been to this many open mics since I started, and it's been crazy. Well, we got a vaccine around the corner, so that's good news. Hopefully, we'll see some.
Oh, wait, I got to go around the corner.
Yeah. I mean, the way they're going, we actually can get. We even have nursing home patients at our shows.
Great.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And a bunch of nurses and doctors. That's what we get it first.
That's who'll be alive.
Well, that's good. It's good that because you worry about that. Will New York be the same? I have a lot of my friends that will California be the same? I think California is suffering a lot worse than New York is.
New York, we had 9/11, it's horrible and, tragic and, devastating, but, we did all right after it was over. We got stronger. And I think that's what happens to humans. You go through this stuff and you get stronger when you come out the other side. So, yeah, I'm not worried about New York. We're going to be fine and dandy. And, the clubs are great. The comics work, it's a real good community of comics and we look out for each other. So I think I'm sure we're going to be fine.
Yeah, I'd hope to, because there's nothing better I like to going into New York and doing a couple of weeks of stand up. Last time I was there, I think I was there for like 7 days. I did like 50 shows. It was amazing.
And Vegas, so many of my friends moved from LA to Vegas, and they have a great community there, right?
Oh,
This
it's
is
amazing. I
yeah,
love it out here. So we have like
yeah.
8 comedy clubs out here.
That's what I
So I
hear.
mean, if I'm not booked on any given day, I have at least 24 friends that are in town right now that I can just go. I can go to a different club every night and still not hit every club in the city,
Mhm.
and just go hang out and show my face. And I mean, hopefully somebody's flight got messed up and they throw me up to feature or
Yeah,
something like that. But like, I mean, it happens more often than it doesn't.
yeah. I was supposed to go to Florida for Thanksgiving and see my brother, and picked up a gig on a Sunday, and it ended up not happening. My brother up here and I decided not to fly, and somebody else got the gig. I'm glad somebody else got it, but that's what happens. Can't fly, you can't fly.
So that's the thing is like everybody, because I'm originally from Sacramento, and a lot of the Sacramento comedians have chalked my uh, uh, mediocre success at this point to just luck. And there was like DJ just gets lucky. DJ just gets lucky all the time. But if you get lucky this many times in a row, you're doing something correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
I
Barry
found
Bonds
that.
didn't just get lucky so many times that he made it to the Hall of Fame. Like there's something he's doing correct.
Right.
And if you stay home on the sofa, or if you just go to bars with your friends, or if you're not at the comedy clubs, you have to put yourself in a position to get lucky.
Well,
Yeah.
Like you can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket.
Yeah, I used to average between 500 and 600 shows a year. Back in the '90s, especially all through the '90s, because New York had so many clubs, and so many. Each club on the weekend had 3 shows, and you can do 7 and 8 on a night. And I would just run around and do a million shows. Go to Boston, you go to Nick's Comedy Stop. They do 3 upstairs and 2 downstairs. So you just run from set to set to set. By the end of the night, you're exhausted, but you just did 5 shows.
Yeah, that's definitely the best. DJ, what you just said reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. Fortune favors the prepared mind. You know, you got to do that, because I've heard that a lot in my life. Oh, you're just lucky. Even my brothers would say that. Ah, Doug, you're just lucky. I'm like, lucky? I said I wasn't lucky when I was on a bus playing soccer on college just to have my scholarship. Traveling for 2 weeks and then trying to do reading my book on a bus at 3 a.m. That's not lucky. That's
Yeah.
determination. There's a lot more behind it. And which DJ brought up a good point. It's decisions we make. Eddie, I always bear this. Like successful people seem to be able to make decisions, and not only always make the right decisions, but be able to make that decision and deal with the consequences and deal with what happens from those decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you think of any decisions in your past that were pretty pinnacle, or something that was?
Yeah, I mean, it's an action plan. You have to have some kind of action plan. I was doing really well in Boston as a young guy. We were, young comics. There wasn't that many comics on the scene, but it was a good scene. I was in college, so I chose to go to New York to just take it to the next level. And then I went, I started doing well there, and I went to LA because I just wanted that challenge. So I kept challenging myself. And then in like 1990, 91, I went to Europe to go try stand up there, because that was a challenge. And then I started going to countries where English was their second language. Like, I just, every time I started feeling comfortable, I wanted to ratchet it up to the next level, not sit around and just, be happy because I was doing well. I need that. I need some kind of action plan. So that's what happened. But like the beginning of the COVID, I was saying before, I was just like bummed out and screw this and eating too much and whatever. And then I just said, how does that serve me? I say that line a lot to myself. How does that serve me? Well, it doesn't. So what do I have to do? Just get to, pen and paper, tape recorder, whatever it takes, and do these. I've done probably 60, 70, shows with friends where we're just chatting and talking and keeping our brains moving. So, I would say because for me, Letterman was a big thing. I was working at the Dana Carvey show as the warm up. Louis C.K. was the head producer. Then he started writing at Letterman. They were looking for a warm up. They asked me to do it. And then, that really propelled my career, because I got to be able to be on that incredible stage every night for 17 years. Just that made me a better comic.
Which, by the way, we still remember that great evening when my wife and I went to New York. DJ, this was awesome. We got tickets to go see the Late Show with David Letterman, and then my wife and I went, and we were sitting in that the balcony, in the first seats in the balcony. And after the show, Eddie comes back out on the Letterman stage, and people are like exiting out, and Eddie says, "Come on down," like down the spiral stair.
I saw the photo like 3 days ago. I happened to see the photos.
Oh yeah,
a long time ago. We were young and good looking back then.
Oh yeah, well, those days have changed for me. Man, you talk about eating. I went to my doctor today. I weighed 282 pounds, so I was. Look at me. I look like I just ate a bowl of ice cream.
Yeah.
My face.
But you look happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about you, DJ? Any decisions besides maybe leaving Sacramento and heading to Vegas?
Let's see. Yes and no. So this is a common question that comes up a lot. Like, you always hear people saying, like, if you can go back in time and give your younger self any advice, what would it be? And my response is always like, I wouldn't talk to that guy, because I love where I am currently. And who's to say that, like, when I was being considered as a replacement for Hassan Minaj on Daily Show, I now know why I didn't get that. And I could go back in time and tell myself what I could have done to get that gig. But how many people have you met that were SNL writers that fucking hated it? Like, getting that job doesn't necessarily mean that you're the right person for the job, or that job's the right job for you. I might have gotten it and my career would be in a different place, but I might have also killed myself because I was so fucking miserable and I wasn't prepared to do that kind of a thing. So if I'm happy where I'm at, there's no point in dwelling on the past and regretting an opportunity that didn't go the way that you wanted it to at that time. Something else, because now I've written my own cartoon and we're in the middle of getting that sold. And I wouldn't have done this if I was on Daily Show. Now I'm in 100% control of my own product and I don't have to worry about anything. Whereas there, it'd be censors, and just putting out a brand new high quality product every single day. I mean, I'm doing stand-up comedy specifically because I don't like to work every day. My creativity doesn't flow on a daily basis like that. I'm not a machine that way. I write well when I'm inspired, and I'm inspired very infrequently.
Someone asked me when I write, and it seems I write a lot when I'm driving. There's something about when you're in motion, right? I've had a few people, like, they think a lot when they're on a walk or on a bike. Sometimes when you're like, when I'm driving, it seems like my mind is preoccupied with the rules of the road. So my creative mind is just now free to kind of like let it go, So like, oh, God, my record, that's a funny bit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. But that's a great point, dude, because sometimes people try to rush it, right? Some people try to rush it and chase after that. And then they find themselves there and they go, what, I'm not even ready, or this isn't right. Or, you know what I mean?
I just hate it altogether. I'm 100% ready, but this is just not fun.
I think, it's instincts. You trust your instincts because they never lie. Your brain, you can rationalize anything. And once, any mistakes I've made in my life is when I've tried to rationalize things. But I just go with my instincts and my gut that never lies. So, that's pretty much, that's why I write mostly on stage, because, I'm comfortable up there and I love it. So that's the key for me.
Yeah, I think like I felt that's why I went back to open mics, because I felt comfortable just taking my premise on stage and feeling, at this point in my career, being able to just let it go without having to have to set up the punchline, everything considered or figured yet. I just said, I'm gonna let it flow out and see what happens. I mentioned this earlier.
I'm the same way, though. I actually I get my best thinking is done because I drive in silence. I commute in silence always. Like, I don't listen to music at all. Like, if it's on, cool. But like, I don't purposely turn anything on. And it's because, like, when I'm driving, my phone isn't in my hand. It's in the back seat usually. So if I get a notification or a text or something, like, even if I'm not talking to you, if I see I got a message from Dougie, now my brain is going to start going through oh, these are interactions I've had with Dougie, and now I'm going down this rabbit hole. Whereas if I just don't look at my phone at all, one, I'm not going to kill anybody else on the road today. Two, my brain can go wherever it needs to go.
How hard is that for? I think that's a great thing for a lot of people because a lot of people don't do that. They cannot disconnect. You have a million things going. You know, like the guy spinning the plates. Remember that old act where the guy would spin the plates and have 1,000 plates going.
That's why you compartmentalize. You know, like I'm working on 6 projects actually right now, and I'm focusing on this right now. This is the only thing that exists, and the other stuff I'll get to later if I have to. But you have to compartmentalize. That's the best way to do it, really.
I definitely need a lot more of that because my problem is, I still have my job as a fiduciary. I still manage money for people. I'm still doing my comedy and trying to build my comedy career. And it's weird because it would be great if they were intertwined. You know what I mean? Like they had that familiarity. But one of my mentors said, he goes, look, man, he goes, I know you want it that way because I'd love to wake up every morning and just think funny, just think about that. But unfortunately, I got to look at treasury bonds, the U.S. dollar. I got to look at all this.
And the funny thing is when I see fiduciary, it always makes me laugh because when I was a little kid, I had this synonyms book or something, and fiduciary was on the top of the page, like it was the letters that led to all the F words on that page. And as a little kid, douche is hilarious. So you hear fiduciary. So when I hear fiduciary, I'm 7 years old again, looking at my thesaurus, just laughing at the word douche.
Well, yeah. I'm glad I could bring you back.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad you can. It shows.
I never
what's of my mind is,
I never want to be so mature that the word douche isn't funny.
Oh, right. Exactly. It is.
Douche. Of course, every time I say that, you're fiduciary. That's why one of the projects I'm doing is a corporate bit, where I want to try to do presentations at Merrill Lynch conferences and things like that, taking comedy on the financial planning side and making fun of stuff like that. So, but you're right. To do that, to make that separation, you got to, once you come, it's like a person who comes home from work, that's it. Work's done. You got to be home with your wife, your family. You got to put all that stuff. And sometimes it's hard to do, I think, for a lot of people. But like you said, DJ, that's something I know I got to work on even more because I'll be sitting on the couch thinking of this and thinking of that, then thinking of that. And then I get overwhelmed. Then my head starts going, oh shit, I'm
right. But you and then you do it to yourself. You cause this, drama that doesn't exist, and you create that in your own head, and you get in your own way. And I've done that a million times. That's why I know. So I've learned to not worry about it, and not try. I try to stake out the different times, and also create. Like for instance, at the beginning, I did a Zoom show, as a stand-up, and it just blew, and it doesn't. There's no reason we should do comedy for no audience. And so then I got asked to do another one, and I said, no, let me create something that would be better. So what I did was I would cut the show into 3 parts. One where I got interviewed by one person, even though it's like 250 people watching at a corporate company. And then I do deconstruct my material in the second part where I say, I wrote this joke, this is how I wrote it, and this is how it goes, and blah, blah, blah. And then the third one, third part, I did a Q&A. So now I started getting corporate work through Zoom, which is great. I'm able to create something different. And it's interesting because I could tell stories, I could do whatever. And it's not me going, trying to, pull off stand-up, which doesn't work on Zoom. It's not the most organic way to do stand-up.
It's a different format, and you structured it to fit that format.
Yeah. Now I'm getting all this, paying my bills during this time with no, nothing going on.
You have to do that. What changes have you seen? Now you're in Vegas, so you're doing some shows, but anything you've adapted to there, DJ?
Yeah, so initially when everything went into lockdown, I put a reminder on my phone saying, do not write any jokes about this. And I was going to be the one guy who didn't bring up this trauma, because you just know that as soon as you go to open mic, there's going to be 18 motherfuckers with the exact same toilet paper bit. Or I just didn't want to, I wanted to set out from everybody else by not having any COVID material. But now I feel that we're far enough out from it that it's no longer such a painful topic for so many people that I can talk about my angles that are different than everybody else's. Like for me, I have a bit about like how it puts a beard dent in my face, and that's not something that everybody else is gonna have.
Right.
And then I also have like this angry face, so like the mask covers the only happy part of my face, and so my struggles are different than, and they're also goofier than everybody else's COVID struggles. So now I'm able to make a little bit more fun of it without it, because I wanted to wait and see what everybody else was talking about before I started writing jokes about it.
That's a great point, because I had one or two, because I always felt there was something I had to do while I was going out there during COVID. You know, I was trying to come up, like you said, but I didn't want to sit, like you said, the hackier stuff. I wanted to come up with something I felt was a little more towards me, you know, something I felt more towards my life. So I looked at the nursing home situation, which, like you just said in the beginning, you know, basically the joke is no one's ever going to, you know, the one good thing about COVID, no one's ever going to send their parents to a nursing home again, you know, and then that joke was rough in the beginning because, but then I started tagging it with something like, well, if you're not laughing, that's probably because you have parents you want to put in a nursing home.
Right.
So I noticed that in the last few weeks, it's become, it's taking, you're right, because it's kind of settling a little bit now. People are like, all right, yeah, you're right, you know.
Yeah, I wrote one the first week because I love wordplay, and I said, you know, well, before COVID, I was at the height of fashion, and now because I've eaten so much, I'm at the width. And that was
hilarious.
But that's a great, like, to me, when you could take a topic like that and not make the joke really about the topic.
Not at all.
The topic is just ancillary, right? It's just on the outside of it, right?
Yeah, well, I learned that from watching Colin Quinn after 9/11. He wrote, you know, and did it on Letterman. He did a joke about 9/11, but you never make fun of 9/11. And, you know, the real place, the foundation for that was I watched Life of Brian with Monty Python. They never made fun of Jesus on the Mount, but they made fun of the people in the crowd who couldn't hear what Jesus was saying because there's no microphone.
Yeah.
So you never make fun of COVID. You make fun of your, like the only other joke I had was, I said, you know, it's funny, I live alone and it's kind of lonely. And then I realized I haven't pleasured myself in a few days. And was it something I said? You know, so again, it has nothing to do with COVID. It's my, you know, irresponsibility or my vulnerability or whatever the word is.
That's a great truth to that. Speaking of COVID, you know, the vaccines are out. They started distributing it in England.
We better come up with a British accent if we want to be cured.
I was just going to say,
where's mine?
I want my bloody vaccine, man. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're not going to get healthcare without the accent, so.
Right.
That's right. Social medicine. The question is with the vaccine, would you take it? You guys, would you be ready to take the vaccine?
You know what?
Yeah. After a while, yeah. You know, like, I mean, I didn't get a smartphone until like the Galaxy 3, I think. So like, I mean, I'm gonna let you monkeys figure this out, and once you guys have it mastered, then I'll jump in. I don't get the first generation anything. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people got burned discovering fire.
Very smart.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Same way. How about you, Dougie?
Well, you know, I had COVID in June, and so I was thinking, all right, I got the antibodies. Although today, when I went to the doctor, I found out my blood work, I don't have any antibodies anymore.
Damn
it. They've left me, so my plasma is useless. I won't be able to distribute to the women in the audience anymore. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I guess, you know, it's a weird thing. I mean, why not? Like the shingles vaccine. You know, the shingles vaccine my doctor prescribed, which I want to take because. You know, David Letterman had it, and he was out, right, when he had it for weeks.
Brutal, like
8
weeks, I forgot.
And I had a friend of mine that had it, and you watch it, looking at the sores. I mean, he showed me. I'm like, oh my God, I think that scared me. That scared me enough to want to get the vaccine. I don't think COVID scares me enough to get the vaccine.
You know what's interesting is that, you know, when you create a vaccine, there's the issue of a whole bunch of pharmaceutical companies want to get together and they want to put their product in it. You know, like I'm from Squibb and we're going to put mercury in it. I'm from Lilly and we're going to put this part in it. So they're just kind of putting it together and then testing it at the beginning. So at the beginning, they're going to give it to the doctors and the first responders. So let them get it. If they live, it's like, you know, then me and DJ will be.
And you guys will jump in with your iPhones and your, and your Androids.
Oh, absolutely. yeah, I'm not. I'm not gonna get the first flying car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait until there's a few flying car companies, and now I can trust this. Like I don't need the first anything ever, especially if it's gonna give me a fourth arm or something.
Right.
I don't need something that's gonna suddenly grow a chromosome for myself.
Well, can you imagine if the first people to take the vaccine and enlarges their penis 3 times?
Yeah, and then then the whole world's going to want to take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what am I going to do with a 36-inch penis?
Yeah, right. You have to get the vaccine that gives you a 46-inch hand.
Yeah, exactly.
He got this big ass hand.
I'm gonna need to get a second pass at Disneyland. It's gonna be tall enough to ride its own ride.
Sorry, sir. You need to buy 2 seats on the plane for you and your penis. That's funny. I had one topic and I want to talk about, but I don't. I'm going to scratch that one. Japanese spacecraft returns asteroid samples back to Earth. I don't know if you guys saw that. I guess as a comedian, the first thing I think about is what would be amazing if they found in those samples?
It's hard for me because when I hear asteroids, I always think of Schimmel. Why do they call them asteroids? And instead of, they should call, hemorrhoids asteroids, so it's hard to say. I think that if for that kind of joke to work, you need to, find out like what do I either really need from that, or what was the worst possible thing that can happen, in that scenario. So the worst possible thing to happen is, like diarrhea or, some kind of
COVID-20.
Yeah, COVID-20, COVID-21.
Test tube with COVID-20
There's
on it.
The joke.
Don't open.
It took the 3 of us, but we got it. You got the punchline though.
It says don't open in Alien. I don't read Alien.
Right.
I thought it said open quickly. It's funny because there was a story out about the Israeli space security chief that says aliens exist. If you saw that,
yeah. And
he's already being laughed at. But the guy is saying, "Hey, look, I already got my degrees. I already got my credits and everything." But he says that that we know the Israel and the United States have been in communication with the aliens. There was a guy from Canada who used to be the defense head of the defense ministry of Canada who says they're there, and there's 4 types of aliens. So the question is, fellas, what do you think? You think?
There's the monoliths that have been showing up all over the world.
Those are definitely man-made for sure.
Yeah.
That's There's, and also like notice where those monoliths are shown. They're not showing up in interesting places like New York.
Right.
They're showing up in places that are so boring that if they showed up there, people would actually talk about it.
That's right.
Right.
If they showed up in Chicago, nobody would give a fuck. They would have thought that it's just an art project or an installation that's been there for years and they just didn't notice it.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny how they disappear. We have a story today we're going to do about it. But as a matter of fact, let's do it. It's time for it's time to play. It's the news is a joke. This is where our comedians are basically challenged to come up with jokes from the news, kind of like you did on that video I saw, DJ, from the Looney Bin. Here's where guests utilize the comedic abilities to make jokes of the news, compete for the biggest laugh. This week's prize is a broken foosball table and a $100 gift certificate from Blockbuster and from Toys R Us. So good luck. Our first story is an escaped. Let me pull back over here. The first story is in Namibia, a man who's actually named Adolf Hitler.
Right.
Wins the election. Now, to me, it's a surprise that anybody would name their kid Adolf Hitler.
And supposedly his father didn't know. He's like, oh, I didn't know that was a bad thing. So, he doesn't really read the Namibia paper, the newspaper, the Namibia Times.
We were going to name him Satan, but we thought that might not be good. Let's just go ahead with Hitler.
And the sister is Eva Braun.
Adolf Hitler was elected last week as counselor for the Umpunja constituency.
Mm-hmm.
Adolf Hitler and other Germanic first names is not uncommon in the country. Yeah, I guess because they colonized Namibia, so somewhere that passed along. My buddy had an open mic joke. He says, "I want you to try to work with it." I never did, but he goes, "Could you imagine who, when Braun, his wife, I forgot her name now. You just said it, Eva Braun. Could you imagine who she was going out with before Hitler, and then she broke up with him to go out with Hitler?" Hey, Dad, I have a new boyfriend. I want you to meet him. He's a real nice guy. He's really a go-getter, and but I mean,
like the previous guy, Mussolini, who you were dating. He was more my type.
He just didn't have enough drive.
Yeah, he was a little slow. He liked to eat his pasta.
Yeah. He had like a think global but act local kind of. I needed a more of a act global kind of a fella.
Yeah, he was more of a regional leader than a global leader. He didn't.
Yeah, I need a district manager, not just a store manager.
Right. Might as well go out with the bag boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, so is this a black dude then?
Yes.
So that's way better.
Yeah.
That's much better.
I think Adolf Hitler's turning in his grave right now, knowing that a black man has been.
Yeah,
you're right,
dude. Because I mean,
his father's name is Jesse Owens, which is really weird.
It's just amazing. Like, I just love reverse cultural appropriation. Because usually it's white guys taking shit from black people, and it makes me real happy that black guys are taking over now.
That's right.
These tables.
Well, we didn't mind when they took our fat white women. Go ahead, take her. You know what I mean? That's all. I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Some guys would be angry.
Yeah, some guys. Usually Spanish guys. Hey man, you're taking my big ass girl, man. Yeah, well, that's good. Let's hope as long as the person.
That's all I have to say. Is good luck to him.
Yes. Yeah. Could you imagine if he ends up taking over Poland?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And he got elected. That's the thing. You would think if the name Adolf Hitler was on the poll, was on the electoral ballot, you may want to avoid it. You're like, holy shit, this didn't go to last time.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Is like, I mean, fucking, it doesn't matter what part of the world you're in. Millennial hipsters do everything for irony alone.
Yeah. It could be an ignorance too. It could be like the people have forgotten history that is so far back that they don't even actually remember Adolf Hitler.
I wonder who the other guys he ran against. Joseph Stalin, Chairman Mao,
Pol Pot. That was the electorate party.
Might as well take Hitler. He's the runoff between Hitler and Pol Pot.
Yeah. Who killed more people? I mean, vote to who helped more people. Sorry, I messed up. Yeah, that's a
Vivian accent, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was. I just went into autopilot.
No, people in Namibia have no idea that you're not.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, look at my face with my lighting. I couldn't be more Namibian. Yeah. So he was. Yeah, he was. He's good. Good for him. He doesn't look anything like Hitler, by the way. There's no resemblance.
And I wish him luck. He's probably a nice guy. He's probably got shit his whole life for his name. And
you're right. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it's not like his name was Dick, and that's one thing. But this guy is named Adolf Hitler. Can you imagine?
Yeah, it's not like he just found out about his name. No. Like it's just like, I mean, when I worked at Chili's, every time a table would sit down, they would sing a song with my name in it. And every single time I'm like, oh my God, that's so clever. No one's ever done that before. They're like, really? I'm like, literally every day, you fucking monkey. What do you want to drink? And like, I'll just go on with my day.
Yeah, all the little kids are like, oh, Hitler's coming over again today.
My mom's dating Adolf Hitler. He seems like a nice guy. Well, this was a story that you actually talked about. Ultra-conservative MP leaps from window as Belgian police raid orgy for breaking COVID rules. Again, the funny thing about this story, yes, this guy was against gay marriage. Yeah. He was against, that. And here he is, and mostly male orgy. And he had ecstasy in his pocket. And I always said, look, anything that leads you to sleep with another man is ecstasy.
Yeah, right.
Who hasn't, Who hasn't played with a penis on that?
I did ecstasy back in the day in the 80s when I was in the late 70s and that was before it got all speedy or whatever it became. I don't know, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I had great sex on it. So obviously these people knew, or I think I had great sex. At least from my perspective.
I couldn't answer. I couldn't answer for my partner.
Horrible. People are still talking about it. Oh, Eddie Brill. My God, it was horrible. But no, if they're gonna party, ecstasy all the way, baby.
DJ, have you ever done ecstasy?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was like all there was in like 2000 to 2002. Like it was just impossible to find mushrooms anymore.
I lived in Hollywood, Florida for junior high school and high school, and West Hollywood were all cow fields, the Cooper City area, and we would just go and pick the mushrooms out of the dirt, and we'd make tea, and we had a lot of fun.
That's funny. So you actually felt comfortable pulling the wild mushrooms and utilizing them?
Yeah. Well, actually, there was a little kid named Russell who fit under the fences, so we drove him out there, but Russell did the work.
So Russell was your dog, your fetcher.
Yeah.
I get it.
Kid,
Yeah,
with the older guys, so.
My oldest brother wasn't so lucky. He tried to do the same thing and he got poisoned.
Oh my God!
I don't think he had as much knowledge of mushrooms as you did.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's a member of the European Parliament tried to escape through a window after police raided a 25-strong, mostly male sex party in Brussels. And of course, when they found the drugs on him, he's like, "Oh, those aren't mine.
Yeah,
those aren't my drugs."
Did he put his pants on first before he left, or
you would hope,
or did that come up during the cavity search?
No, they found it in his pants. Yeah,
they found Brussels sprouts in his ass, but that's
they found somebody else's drugs in his ass. And he tried to claim diplomatic immunity. From Lethal
Weapon. An accent again.
Yes, that's my Namibia. Great scene in Lethal Weapon, right? When the guy from South Africa, diplomatic immunity members. Yeah, they said he tried to get it. I think that's great. When you bust these people that are hypocrites. I hate hypocrisy. I really do. I mean, if you feel a certain way about something, great, live it.
Yeah.
But when you live the opposite and proclaim something else, how dare?
Oh, I love when those stories come out. Just like I think that anybody who's so vehemently against homosexuality is terrified of their own homosexuality.
Yeah, because as a kid you get shit on for being homosexual, so these people are afraid to get shit on, so they join in on the shitting on, and eventually they act like, oh, this is horrible, but in reality our society's at fault for that because we should make everybody comfortable to be who they are. That's the sad part.
Yeah, it's like when you reach the age where you realize masturbation is not gay.
Okay.
You thought your priest used to say, "Oh, it's a sin." That was the one thing when I did confirmation I had to admit to.
Yeah. Hey, Father, I don't know if you know about it, but it's fantastic.
It's much better than reading.
Yeah, you should try it sometime. I mean, you have the robe, easy access. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you get
do it 2-3 times a day, and maybe these 12-year-old boys will be safe.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Our next story. This is interesting. If it pulls up here, of course it's looping on me. Escaped sheep wanders into hotel and waits for elevator. This wasn't the same hotel they were having the orgy at, which would have been fun.
Yeah. You know what I think? It was probably, some guy heard he couldn't sleep like us. And he said, if you count sheep, you get to sleep. So he's ordering sheep. He doesn't get it. He's like, so the sheep shows up in the elevator, sheep here. He was the black sheep of the family, and he's out there, making money, sheeping.
And he better hope everybody has narcolepsy because, they count one sheep and they get one.
Yeah, it's only I'm a one sheep guy.
Yeah.
One sheep. I'm asleep. I'm a sleep sheep.
Yeah, I can't see. There it goes. That's the thing for one sheep. in a hotel in Wales shared a video of a sheep that wandered into the building and was found standing in the hallway where it appeared to be waiting for the elevator to head to the orgy, of course. That's got it. Could you imagine walking out of your hotel room and there's a sheep just sitting there? I'm like, somebody couldn't afford a prostitute, I guess.
I ordered a goat.
Exactly. They always screw up my order.
Here's my Namibian accent. I ordered this. We ran out of goats, so I sent sheep. All right, Adolf, leave the sheep.
Same thing.
I mean, it sounds like that hotel was in a bad neighborhood.
That's right. That kind of comedy is right up my alley.
There you go.
My dad's gonna be so proud of me.
Yeah, see, I'm a dad, so
see. There you go. That's a great one. A woman killed her husband, then stabbed own vagina to claim self-defense. Now, out of all the places to stab,
well, she definitely didn't have another boyfriend,
or plans for one.
It's not like the guy must have been such an asshole. It's like, look, what can I do to get rid of him? I'll stab my vagina.
I've never had a woman piss me. I've never had a woman piss me off so much that I wanted to cut my dick off. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You pissed me off. Fucking cut my dick off.
Cut off my dick despite my face.
An Alabama woman charged back in 2019 for killing her husband, stabbed her own vagina, and then she didn't just do it once. She stabbed it multiple times, which, I don't know if she mistaked the knife from a dildo or vice versa. The handle looked the same. Claimed she shot her. She says she claimed her husband that shot her dead. Now that's the thing. A problem with that story. Like, if you're going to kill your woman, I don't think a deathly blow to the, like in Mortal Kombat, they don't say stab the pussy. It's
they don't.
It'd be a strange finisher move.
Yes, it's definitely an odd move. It's not a kill strike. It's not a kill strike to stab the vagina. You may lose your knife.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the same woman that complains about having to shave it.
Yeah, she was probably trying to shave it.
Yeah. I mean, you think razor bumps suck.
Hey, honey, your vagina has 3 gashes in it. I don't know which one to put my dick in. So, I mean,
the guy must have been horrific, to do that. I mean, he was such a douche.
He was such a fiduciary. She was charged. Prosecutors disagree, claiming Doyle stabbed herself in a wild attempt to avoid prosecution. Based on the evidence that has been recovered at this time, we don't believe that Mr. Doyle inflicted those because he's not an asshole. If I wanted to kill my wife, I would definitely stab her in the chest. Right?
Yeah, in the heart.
Unless they found, like on his internet, they found on his computer, how to stab the vagina, or that was his favorite porn. Right. Now, this is, we're on a little bit of a motif of this stuff, but relationship breakdown at Potters Association over dildo workshops. Now, I don't know if you saw this. It's amazing. You want to keep things inventive. You know what I mean? So there's this group, this pottery group. These people do that. They come together. We're gonna make some ashtrays and some vases and shit. So the lady tries to think outside the box and says, "You know what?
Literally outside the box."
Yes. In and out of the box. I'm thinking in and out of the box now. But she said, ceramics. When you think about it, I guess a ceramic is a pretty good piece. If you're going to make a dildo, you wouldn't want to make one out of, I don't know, like rubber. Well, I guess you could.
What happened to you making the ashtray for your mother? It's like, come a long way, baby.
Yeah, the ashtrays are easy. You just kind of flatten the shit up, put little things on there for the cigarettes. But to make a dildo, so some of the women, you can imagine, this is one of those things where somebody says, "This is disgusting," where it's just a dildo. It's not like, just go ahead and make it. Wellington Potters Association President Nicole Gaston resigned her position after a disagreement over the workshop, leaving the club without anybody to top her job.
What I noticed is that every one of these stories has to do with some kind of sexual thing. It's like stabbing.
Well, and it's like sexual repression.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
because
sorry.
we look at sex in such a negative way because there's that that ridiculousness of saying that sex is no good and sex the devil's work and sex all the stuff we learn as kids, and then people are fucked up sexually because of it, and look what happens. They're stabbing their vaginas. They're getting sheep to fuck, and then they're naming their kids Hitler. It's just like and the guy, we're talking about masturbation and dildos. I mean, all of these stories, and then the guy jumping out the window because he was afraid of being homosexual. It's all we make it worse for human beings to really enjoy life by putting negative connotations on all the fantastic things.
Yeah.
Especially ecstasy.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I
That's the keep your change drug, I would call it, because you're in such a good mood. Keep the change.
Yeah. That was amazing. We used to go to South Beach all the time. My buddy and I would do that, and it would just be, I'd get there on South Beach on Friday. I'd come home Monday, and nothing. I mean but the depression. If you did that drug too much, and you deal with depression because that's the payback, right? That's life, right? If you're gonna, that's like Pandora's box. If you open Pandora's box,
Pandora's box, the dildos, it's all related.
I gotta talk a box. I gotta talk of a box.
Yeah.
See, that's the, is anybody surprised that somebody in a pottery club was offended by a dildo? Like, that's not surprising at all. Like, if this was a person who was okay with having sex in any capacity, they wouldn't be in a fucking pottery club. You think pottery clubs are attracting a whole lot of freaks? Like, no, they're in that club because scrapbooking is a little too risque.
Right. Yeah. And you can't stick a scrapbook up your vagina.
Exactly. Stamp collection's no longer there.
But it was really horrible.
They're like, those Beanie Baby whores. Oh, just clutching their pearls.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, but I'd hope my wife would go and get a nice dildo, especially if she made it herself. But then I'd be embarrassed. Then you have to worry about it because your wife brings back a big old dildo that's bigger than your dick. Then you're like, honey.
And you have to go back and make a vagina in your class, clay vagina, and it's just.
Or you can just stab her vagina.
Right. That would be great. Yeah, get a dildo with a knife attachment.
Yeah. Unsheath it.
Exactly. I said this, we talked about the monoliths, but this was an interesting story. A phallic landmark statue in Germany mysteriously disappears. Police are investigating. If you see it, it's a big looks like a big wooden dick. It's about 7 to 8 feet high. It's very girthy.
Right.
A lot of girth. But supposedly that somebody had probably bought it for their family member as a joke. And they said, what did you get me this for? Why don't you get me a PlayStation? And then, then they put it up on the mountain where it sat for a while. I wonder if it's the lady who stabbed her vagina because she needs something big now to fill those holes.
Yeah, you can't be satisfied. You always have to go up a bigger size. Then you end up bringing it to an orgy. And everyone, climbs the old dildo and then jumps out the window.
It says here, a local media reported that police in Bavarian town of Kempten, 79 miles southwest of Munich, are investigating the disappearance. Although it wasn't clear whether it was a crime was committed. They don't know if it's a crime if somebody stole the big wooden dick. Like, you know what I mean?
I would just love to be married to one of those police officers, and he comes home like, "How was work?" It's like, just another day at the office, Like, this is what I went to the academy for. Like, our tax dollars. I think about this a lot. Like anytime I go to like a strip club, there's like regulations posted on the wall and shit. That means that there's somebody in the government whose job it is to go to these establishments and make sure that they're not just a whorehouse cover. So your tax dollars are going to my fucking lap dance just to make sure that this girl doesn't try to suck my penis today.
Yeah,
like,
right.
how do you get that investigation job? Like, some people are fighting actual crime, and these guys are just investigating a penis statue. Like,
yeah,
that's not fair.
Meanwhile, there's people being killed. There's people, There's like there's all kinds of crime going on in Germany, but there's a few officers on the case of the stolen wooden dick. You know what I'm saying? But
Wait
actually,
for you to come home. What did you find today, honey? Was it a wooden dick or was it a stabbed vagina?
tell me about your day, honey. I'm so interested. You're right. It's funny too because there was a story a while back about these cops that go in to bust the Asian massage parlors, and back in the day they just had to ask for the exchange, but now they're saying the police officers can go through with the act. You know, so you imagine what it's like in the roll call that morning. Okay, we need somebody to sign up for the Asian massage parlor. I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Billy, you've done it 6 times this week.
Yeah, I've had 30 visits. I'm ready to turn in my evidence next week. I'm gonna go a few more times. Absolutely. And our last show. This story is actually great. Because we had that story here in Florida a few weeks ago. The guy who jumped in the water to save his puppy from that baby alligator. If you saw that, did you see that video?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's funny because it was an alligator. It's about an alligator about 4 or 5 feet. The baby alligator in Orlando area where the alligator came and took the little puppy, just grabbed him and jumped in the water. And the old guy, like 60-something years old, jumped in the water, dragged the damn thing out of the water and pulled his mouth apart. And the puppy got out. And there's some people going, "Oh, look at the alligator. It wasn't that big." I'm like, "Yeah, I'd like to see you do it, you pussy."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, everybody's judging. But this was a situation. A man grabbed a 350-pound bear, which oddly enough was a gay guy over at that orgy. Man grabbed a 350-pound bear by the throat and punched it in the face.
Yeah.
To save his pit bull dog from an attack.
Wow.
Matt, the guy sitting out there, there's a bear that gets his pit bull. Like a pit bull's a mean dog, but I guess a 350-pound bear.
I think the worst part about the story is they got home and the pit bull got into the chocolate stash.
It died.
Yeah. I did all that saving. Idiots.
You fucking imagine? Like, Jesus Christ. You got into the kid's Christmas stash.
It's funny.
Why is it always my luck?
Yeah, the guy goes to the hospital for saving his dog from a 350-pound bear. It goes into surgery, right? He has all this life-saving surgery. The poor dog comes home and eats a few Hershey's Kisses that happen to be dropped off on the floor, and he dies. My buddy reminded me of the time I have a little Jack Russell, and my buddy who used to come and do the podcast with me went out. Before we had a pre-show before the show, we'd go out to the pool. We'd smoke a little bit. So one time we get done, we're doing the podcast. I walk out into the kitchen and my little Jack Russell's sitting there like wavering on the floor. I'm like, "What's the matter, dude?" And he went to touch him. He's all messed up. He ended up eating half the joint that he left.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So now every time now my buddy Pete would come over, he'd be like, he'd start jonesing. "Hey, Pete, man, you got a dime bag on you?" It's crazy with animals, man. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, what would you do though in that situation? You got this bear eating your dog. What are you doing?
I mean, listen. I mean, I don't know. I mean, would you go out and attack a 350-pound bear for your dog?
Fuck no.
No.
Absolutely not. I would run away.
I try to negotiate with him. I go, "I got all this chocolate. If you give me the dog back, I'll trade you this candy. And if it doesn't work, all right, what are you gonna do?"
No, absolutely. The way that I'm looking at it is like, this is why the dog is here. Is you're the sacrificial lamb. I'm sorry, buddy, but I'm getting back home. I am absolutely leaving. Because we already and if anybody thinks that that's a mean way to look at it, like every single person you've ever met who's lost a dog has went back and got another dog like 2 months later to replace the one that they lost.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll go get another one.
And if you can't get a dog, you can get a sheep, and they'll come right to your hotel.
Yeah.
Because, the sacrificial lamb. There's a sheep. There's a goat. There's
Yeah, I don't
we got bears. We got dogs.
You're right. It's not like it took your grandma.
Right.
It's like your grandma's getting attacked by the bear. You can't go get a new grandma.
Yeah, I mean, you could. you know, you can go over to the nursing home and go, "Hey, lady, do you have any grandchildren? Would you like one?" Because my grandmother just got eaten by a bear, and I really need someone I can hang out with on holidays.
Actually, if you went to the nursing home, they would think you are the grandson. You just
Right?
say, "Hey, Granny, remember me? Oh yeah, I remember you."
Yeah. Help me! I've got COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
She's
Grandma.
walking around like, this was my grandson, Adolf Hitler.
Yeah. He's a nice boy. He's very energetic and very, yeah.
A little
And,
territorial, but
yeah. He's got some things with the Jews. I don't know what it is. Yeah. Hey, Grandma, here's a change of beneficiary form I'd like you to fill out and
Well,
sign for me.
I don't know. All right, sign here.
100% to me. Thank you. That's the way it goes. But hey, guys, speaking of that, that's all we have time here in the Wake Up Late with Dougie show.
That was fun.
It's been a fun hour. I want to thank my guest, Eddie Brill, and of course, DJ Sandhu. You guys have been great. Thanks for joining us on the show. And we do appreciate it. And by the way, anything what's coming up? You guys got some shows? You guys gonna hit the road? What's coming up for you guys?
Well, you go first, each.
No, I'm actually finally going to be home. I've pretty much been on the road since the second week of July. So I get to actually just be home for the next couple of months, and just going to work on getting this, getting the final stages of this cartoon sold now.
That's cool. That's awesome.
So hopefully it'll be it'll be in animation stages by February.
Is the cartoon based on you, or is it a different character?
No, it's based on Jesus.
Jesus?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's on a recording. That's about as much as I can legally say.
Gotcha. That's inspiring because I have a cartoon I've been wanting to write. It's a story about Flaco Gordo. He's a little chubby guy, but he's handsome. He's got skinny legs.
Guapo.
Yeah. I like the audios, but the thin ones. He's an interesting character. Eddie?
Yeah, I'm home. You know, I've been writing. I'm luckily working on a lot of things. I have, you know, I'm definitely got a job writing on this film. I'm very excited about it. You know, filming it next year. I got that. I'm working on this really even bigger project, which is I'd be an executive producer of, and we're in negotiations right now, and that's good. Also, you know, I have 2 or 3 other things. Like I have an animation project that someone brought me in on. It's kind of cool. I don't know if it'll go anywhere, but a few different things I'm writing, and I'm doing a bunch of these corporate Zoom shows. You know, I'm having fun. I'm making the best of it but I really miss stand up. It's my favorite, and I want to do stand up in front of 250 packed, sweaty, you know, people who are laughing, spitting all over the place. You know,
Danish orgy goers. That's what I want to do.
That's all I want.
Is there any but you guys? Is there anything better than performing in front of a live audience?
For me, it's the ultimate.
DJ,
I honestly haven't missed it. I haven't really missed it a whole lot. I've being forced to stay home for a couple of months, and then once I started getting booked again in July, coordinating with rides and Ubers and trying to find my food and trying to figure out what the flights are going to be and can I get here in time to do this show, and like trying to string together all this stuff. Like I didn't realize how much anxiety that was bringing me at the time. And so once it got taken away from me, I was like, oh, cool. I can just stay home. I can cook for myself. This is so much cheaper. I'm getting higher quality food. I'm not eating Whataburger. That shit is garbage.
Yeah. It's not food.
Like, it's not. It's like I felt
might as well
energy.
Eat a pencil. You know.
Exactly. I was sleeping better. I was able to stay awake through the entire day. I was thinking better. I was able to write this entire season by myself. So I didn't really miss it a whole lot. And now that we're getting back to it, I love it for sure. But I could absolutely do without it. I don't need it. I'm not as addicted to it as I thought I was.
It's funny. It's definitely funny you should say that. A friend of mine said the same thing. He's like, now that he's free of it, he realizes all that extra energy and the anxiety, you know, of prepping before you leave. That's my big part. If I'm going to go on the road for a week or two, I got to get everything organized at home. I got to do all this other shit before I leave. And it's like, you know, it just starts getting on you. You're right. So then all of a sudden you don't have to worry about it. It's like, all right, I can relax and have to rush out the
Yeah,
gate.
yeah. When everything was shut down, I wasn't worried about sending emails. So like I wasn't trying to get booked in, wasn't trying to find a paycheck in April. Like I was just sitting down and just like I finally got to watch other people's work. I mean, there's so many comedians that I work with a lot that I've never seen the movie or the TV show that they're on. Like Brett Ernst is one of my best buds. I finally got to watch Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
You know, like I finally got to watch a couple things that Roy Wood Jr.'s been on, and like,
Yeah.
and not just lie and say that, oh yeah, I like that project. Like now I'm actually, I was able to really see the projects that my friends have created and been a part of, and now I get to see why my normal life friends are so excited about the people who I'm friends with in comedy. Because I'm not a fan of anybody anymore. You know, like anybody who I'm a fan of, I actually know them personally at this point, and I don't realize how big and famous they are until somebody comments on her photo, and I'm like, oh, you know, like it was cool to be able to watch what my friends have done before I had even met them.
Yeah, that's definitely a good feeling in this business, right? The camaraderie of the brotherhood of the comics.
I love it.
And then what we all share. You know, I think that's I remember the first time that really hit me. I was actually on the phone with Jim Florentine one day. He's like, "Hey, whatever, Doug, how you doing, buddy?" And then all of a sudden, Will Shriner called in.
Right.
So I'm sitting there, and you know, I'm only a few years in comedy. I'm thinking, I never thought I'd be talking to these two people, you know, at any point in time, you know.
I've had a lot of dreams come true that I never dreamt. You know, it was like I never dreamt any of them to happen. When they happened, it was like, oh my God, it's incredible that I know these people or got to deal with these people. And, you know, but I do like the camaraderie. And, you know, we comedians keep in touch. I had a poker game in my house for 23 years every Monday night, and it was all comics. And, you know, we sometimes had two tables going at once. We had, you know, and then one person was in my room using the Sega and the other one in the living room using the Nintendo. And, you know, that's the part I love the most is, you know, in New York, we have a great community and it's great. You know, I've been traveling all over the world for years and years, you know, so, you know, I have friends call me up and it's like, and now with Zoom or, you know, this kind of thing, I talk with my friends in England or Australia, whatever, you know, and it's just so easy. And you're not, you can see them and it's pretty great.
That's awesome. Well, this has been fun, guys. Really appreciate you joining me on the show today. And I want to wish you guys all the best going forward in 2021. Happy holidays to you guys and your family. Good luck with your project, DJ. I think that's exciting. I think cartoon's awesome. If you need a voice,
I wish. I absolutely wish that I had that much control. But the production company is trying to get famous people, and I was like, that's the wrong way to go. Like we're already dealing with characters that everybody's heard of. So there's no point in getting somebody famous to be the voice of somebody famous. You're better off getting a nobody so that, you know, if we get Will Smith to be the voice of Joseph, then my Will Smith and your Will Smith are completely different people. Like you might be the Pursuit of Happiness Will Smith, and I might be Fresh Prince of Bel-Air Will Smith.
Pitcher for the San Francisco Giants named Will Smith, the left
right.
hand.
Yeah,
I know he's in the grave now, I think, but
yeah, it's interesting. The voice,
and I think that kind of perverts somebody's vision of what they thought this project should have been or was going to be.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh Jesus, voiced by Dougie Almeida it'd be perfect because nobody is comparing this project to something else that you've done. And also, like, I mean, Joe Rogan's gonna be fine. This minimum wage voice acting gig would change my roommate's life forever.
Right.
For Joe Rogan, it's just going to be another $100,000.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. Well, there you go. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. Have a happy holiday, both. Yeah. And hopefully talk again soon.
You got it, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. And everybody, we'll be back next week with an all new show right here at the same spot. God bless. Take care, and we'll see you then.
Wake up!